In the market of gimbals that are known for being expensive with low allowable weight payloads in the mid-range, rarely is there one that is priced affordably, has a lightweight form factor, and has motors to push a heavy payload. Weebil 3S from Zhiyun does exactly that. Today I'm going to show you how I would use this in one of my videos, and by the end of the video you should have a clear understanding who this was built for and what are the downsides and so much more. Full disclosure, Zhiyun did send me this gimbal to review with no requirements other than showing how I'd actually use it. My opinions are my own.
When using a gimbal, you have three main types of modes. You have the pan follow mode, you have the level mode, keeping the verticals and their horizontal axes the same. You have the POV mode if you want to create POV-like shots where you're tilting the camera in odd different directions. Let's get into now exactly what pan follow looks like when we're using it. In my eyes, the next really important mode is the follow mode, and this can be really great at revealing a scene. I'm going to show you now what it would look like doing the follow mode.
Looking at my most used modes for doing real estate videography, by far the level mode is my second most used mode after pan follow. Because of this, I've actually set it to the rear trigger on the back, so I can just go from this pan follow mode into level mode just by pressing that there. And this is particularly useful for doing real estate videography. Oftentimes when people are using this level mode, they want to use an overhanded grip in order to shoot nice and low. And this arm that comes with it, the sling arm, is really useful for that. So by locking it in at this position here, you can get some really nice smooth shots. Okay, now here's where I'm going to admit a very embarrassing mistake that I made. I initially shot most of this footage with the grip set up incorrectly. When I initially set it up, I actually set it up the right way, and looking at it, I thought to myself that it didn't seem right. So I flipped it back to the wrong side. I'm going to show you exactly which way I set it up now so that you don't make the same mistake as myself. Despite all this, with the grip on the wrong way, the footage was still usable and it looked great. So that really demonstrates that even with user error, the system does a really good job compensating. Once set up correctly, it's so much more comfortable being able to actually use this wrist rest, and this frees up your thumb to interact with the tactile switches and buttons on the front of the gimbal.
This next shot is one of my favorites. It's called the Votrex Mode, and you can actually just use the joystick here in order to turn the camera, and it creates a really interesting effect, especially when you're in an area symmetrical like this. It's really cool. I'm going to show you now what that looks like. This next shot features the POV mode, and this mode is really great at revealing locations. Often I like to shoot this at like 50 to 120 millimeters with this 24 to 120 lens. And you can get to this just by double pressing this menu button here from the pan follow mode. I'm going to give you an idea of what this looks like now when shooting in this. So often I would like to start off at a higher up scene, and I'm going to actually grab it by this sling grip here, and we're going to just sort of twist our body. You can usually do most of that work in your knees, so I'm going to press the shutter here and try that again. From up high, I'm gonna grab it here and then just twist down, straighten things out.
For For cinematic and architecture related work, I typically begin with close-up detail shots that establish context. This should be architectural elements, signage, or partial views that create visual interest before revealing the full scene. When filming this sort of shot, I really recommend using between 35 to 120 millimeters to give you a pretty good level of compression and depth of field, and just make some slight movements in order to give you a nice desired shot. Let's take a look now how I do one of these shots using the level mode for a trucking sort of shot side to side, and then also an orbit using the pan follow mode. But I'm going to just set it to that level mode by pressing once on the menu, and then I'm going to just go in between these trees here and pull. I have this set in manual focus, so it's not shifting the focus at all. Now I'll try the PF mode as well. Maybe I'll want that mode more. This is more of like an orbit sort of shot. Now that I've mentioned the shot types that I like to use, let's put those shot types to work at a new location and see exactly how they all pair with one another. When you first purchase your gimbal, you will likely need to update your firmware through the ZY Play app, and I found this process to be simple, but you should know that they do require several permissions to be agreed to before going ahead with that firmware update. I know a lot of people are very particular about that sort of stuff, so it's something to keep in mind. I found that it ended up taking around 10 or more minutes for this firmware update, and I initially accidentally clicked out of it just by selecting another tab that was open on my phone. So make sure if you are wanting to update that firmware to keep it on that screen and don't go to another page, or else it will have you redo the whole thing. When looking at the settings, I choose based off my niche of real estate videography. I went with these settings. I encourage you to play with them and see what works best for you. I'm using control setting tilt 15, roll 20, pan 50, follow setting tilt 50, roll 50, pan 75. Smooth setting is tilt 120, roll 120, pan 120, and deadband tilt 3, roll 5, and pan 10. When using the Weebil 3S with my Nikon Z6 III, Bluetooth connectivity was not possible. Unfortunately, it connected but didn't actually do anything. So I had to use the USB-C cable. People with newer cameras from companies like Sony, Canon, or Panasonic should be able to actually use the Bluetooth support right out of the box. The Weebil 3S excels in several key areas. This combination of portability, payload capacity, and the price point makes it very competitive in the mid-range gimbal market. Keep in mind that they don't give official weight limits based on the fact that many lenses can be poorly balanced. With that being said, I found balancing this was much easier than it ever was using my previous DJI RSC2 gimbal. Now is a pretty good opportunity to show you how I rebalance the gimbal when it's off. So the gimbal is unbalanced right now. If you unlock it, tilts forward. So now what I would do is just unlock with my left hand the lock lever, slide it back so that it's balancing. There we go. Now swing it side to side. It seems like it's totally fine. Now I would lock this one here with my right hand. Now the middle lever, going to just balance it side to side, and it stays in the middle, so good. Now we're gonna go back over to this side here. Gonna tilt it to the side. It's not moving, so there we go. Just like that, it's balanced. Now I just gotta make sure everything is unlocked. There we go. Now turn on the gimbal. Now that we've fully adjusted those parts, we should also go into menu, double press it so that it goes into that auto setting. And this will just do some slight adjustments. So rock back and forth, but it's really gentle compared to my DJI RSC2, I believe it is. It rumbles so much, makes a ton of noise, and it takes longer actually than this one does. And there we go. It's not yet. Now, there we go.
It says it's complete. So now let's turn on the camera, and I'm going to show you just how stable that footage is now. Oh, it's not focusing. So now when I turn it over this way, it should be perfectly in line with the bridge.
My last gimbal was not only hard to balance with the poor locking twist knobs on the back, it would also often violently start to rotate the camera, even severely damaging this CPL filter. Luckily, I had this on the front, but it ended up getting a pretty good scrape because of it. From my experience, on the other hand, this gimbal is much more forgiving when it's not properly balanced. It doesn't have the same sort of spastic attacks that the DJI one had, and it rumbles much, much less. Going on to the battery life in this gimbal, I found that this battery easily lasts an entire full day's worth of shooting and has an expected battery life of around 11.5 hours. The built-in 2600 mAh battery supports PD fast charging, taking approximately 2 hours to achieve a full charge, and you can actually use it for pass-through charging to sort of act as a power bank, which is excellent in case you need it. Looking at the two packages that come with the Weebil 3S, first you have the standard package and then the combo package. The combo package comes with the case and also the wrist rest with that sling. So hopefully after watching this, you have a better idea which one you should choose. Looking at the bag, I found that it's actually quite useful, and I really like how they included it in with the combo pack. I like that I have a few different options if I want to use this as a single bag. If I want to use it as a single bag, I could potentially put my camera in here. Looking at the bottom here, I currently have my Fuji X-M5, and you can just see how much more room there is inside this, even with that Fuji X-M5, allowing potentially 1 or 2 lenses as well if you use appropriate padding. Now going over to the top of the bag, I found that you can easily place in the gimbal, and then using this protective padding that they include with this, you can actually place this on top and fit the base arm and also the grip with the wrist rest. So this could really easily be one and done bag for a lot of people out there, especially for people that don't have a bag. This is a real lifesaver. With all that being said, be very careful to not scratch up or potentially break the screen on this with some of these metal parts. Could really cause some damage if you're not careful. Looking at overall usability of this gimbal, I find that it does a really good job just even without using the app. I have used the app a little bit, but I feel like I don't really need to when using this. Sure, the screen is a little outdated, but I'm not really all that particular as to what screen I have on my gimbal. It's not necessarily that important to me as long as it functions properly and is nice and responsive. I think one of the most important things that a lot of companies ignore that develop gimbals is the comfort of the users using it. I really, really enjoy using this wrist rest. Having it be adjustable really allows for a whole host of scenarios where I'm using it. And now going on to this sling grip here, this is absolutely wonderful. And the fact that it can be adjusted shorter or longer is really nice to have. And it's really compact and is the best of the design that I've found so far when it comes to these sort of grips. So not only does it have those two things, it also includes this attachment point for the 1/4 inch threaded mounts. So you can attach to tripods or this. I mean, you definitely need to have this on when you're wanting to re-stabilize your gimbal throughout the day. Although I do find that you have to sort of lift up the wrist rest in order to fully spread it out, but it's really not a problem at all. And this keeps you running without having to actually lay down your gimbal when you're wanting to rebalance. Not only is there a 1/4 inch threaded mount on the bottom, there also is one here at the top of the grip. This, you can easily attach something like a strap to the gimbal, and this, for me, would give me much better peace of mind if I'm somewhere like Vancouver, once again, using this system. One feature that actually surprised me quite a bit is that it comes with a light on the front, and this can be turned on by pressing this dial here on the side, holding it for 3 seconds. Goes between 5600 Kelvin all the way down to 2600. And you can actually adjust the level going from that 100 down to 10. Pretty useful feature. Will I use it all that much? Probably not. Looking at some of the negatives that I experienced when using this gimbal, first of which being I wasn't able to actually use this 14 to 24 2.8 Nikon lens. And this was actually pretty unfortunate because this is my main real estate videography lens. While it's not particularly heavy at 970 grams, the bulbous front element really makes this quite front heavy. And that made it so that I really couldn't balance it at all using my Nikon Z6 III with the gimbal. If you're really wanting to get the best results out of the Weebil 3S, I really recommend staying with a mirrorless system and a moderately sized lens like this 24 to 120 f4 Nikon lens. Many of the larger, heavier lenses will require something like the Crane series from Zhiyun. With that being said, it does a remarkable job with this 24 to 120 if I stabilize everything at, say, a mid-range and just kind of use it without balancing it. Surprisingly, did really well, and you can't say that for most gimbals in this size range, especially price range. Now, looking at the Bluetooth functionality, yeah, it didn't work with my Nikon system. Hopefully in the future, they're able to address this, although users with newer Canon, Sony, and Panasonic cameras shouldn't have any issues like I had with my Nikon. Going into my final grievance with this system, it's actually the camera app and how it forces you to sign off on so many permissions ahead of time. It doesn't really bother me all that much, but I know there's a lot of people out there that it would potentially be an issue for. So I'm just wanting to let you all know before you make a decision you may regret. The Weebil 3S delivers some excellent performance for its price range. While it definitely has some compatibility issues with certain systems like my Nikon, it's a really solid choice for mirrorless shooters who prioritize portability and smooth footage. If any of you are interested in buying the product mentioned today, I have links in the description, so thank you so much for buying through my links. Well, that is all. I will see you all on the next one. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.